Give yourself 90 days and stop waiting for your life to change on its own. 90 days is enough time to build better habits, remove daily distractions, strengthen your discipline, and become more confident in your own decisions. The real question is not whether 90 days can change you. The real question is what you are willing to do with those 90 days. For the next 3 months, you will learn how to decide who you want to become, cut habits that waste your time, control your attention, keep promises to yourself, and face difficult days without quitting. You will also learn how to review your progress each week and use your mistakes as information instead of reasons to give up. There will be mornings when you feel tired. There will be evenings when your old habits feel easier. There will be days when your progress seems too small to notice. Those moments matter because they show you whether your decisions are becoming stronger. Stay with this audiobook and take each lesson seriously. 90 days from now, you can either repeat the same patterns or look back and know that you used your time to become a more disciplined, focused, and reliable person. Chapter 1. Decide who you want to become. You have 90 days to change the direction of your life. 90 days is long enough to build new habits and short enough to demand your full attention. The biggest change will not begin with a new schedule or a better goal, because it begins with a clear decision about the person you are going to become. Most people begin a change by asking what they want to get. They want more money. They want better health. They want stronger confidence. They want better relationships. They want more control over their time. Those goals can be useful, but they do not tell you how to live today. A better starting point is to decide what kind of person can consistently create those results. A person who wants better health must become someone who takes care of the body even on ordinary days. A person who wants financial stability must become someone who controls spending and learns useful skills. A person who wants confidence must become someone who keeps promises to themselves. This distinction matters because results usually follow repeated behavior. Your life today contains evidence of what you have practiced. Your morning routine shows what you have trained yourself to do. Your spending shows what you have trained yourself to value. Your attention shows what you have allowed to control you. Your response to pressure shows how you have trained your emotions. This does not mean your past controls your future. It means your past gives you useful information. Study it without judging yourself. Then use that information to make better decisions for the next 90 days. Take a sheet of paper and write one sentence at the top. Write the person you want to become during these 90 days. Keep the sentence simple. Do not write something vague like, "I want to be successful." Write something you can recognize through your daily behavior. You might write that you want to become a person who finishes important work before entertainment. You might want to become someone who speaks calmly under pressure. You might want to become someone who takes care of their health every day. The goal is not to create an impressive sentence. The goal is to create a clear standard for your behavior. There is another important step that most people skip. Write down what the new version of you does on an ordinary Tuesday, not on your best day, not on the first day of a new year, not on a day when you feel excited. Take an ordinary weekday and describe your behavior from morning until night. What time do you get up? What do you do before touching your phone? What work receives your attention first? What food do you choose? How do you respond when someone annoys you? What do you do after making a mistake? What time do you stop working? What do you do before sleeping? This exercise makes personal growth practical because identity becomes useful only when it changes behavior. You cannot measure a vague idea about becoming better. You can measure whether you completed your important task. You can measure whether you exercised. You can measure whether you spent an hour learning. You can measure whether you avoided an unnecessary argument. You can measure whether you prepared for tomorrow before going to bed. These small actions give your new identity evidence. There is a simple psychological reason this works. Your mind pays attention to what you repeatedly prove through action. Saying, "I am disciplined," has little value when your daily behavior gives you no evidence for it. Completing one difficult task creates evidence. Completing another creates more evidence. Keeping a promise to yourself creates evidence. Over time, you begin to trust yourself because your actions support your words. That is why the first 7 days should not be about trying to change your entire life. They should be about proving that you can keep small promises. Choose 3 promises that are clear enough to measure. Keep them small enough to complete, even on a difficult day. You might decide to spend 30 minutes on your most important skill. You might decide to walk for 20 minutes. You might decide to avoid your phone for the first 30 minutes after waking. These actions may look small, but their purpose is important. They teach you that your decisions can control your behavior. Do not make the common mistake of choosing 10 new habits at once. A long list can create excitement for 2 days and pressure afterward. Your brain needs a stable routine before it can handle more demands. Start with a few behaviors that have a strong effect on your day. Once they become normal, add another responsibility. Personal development becomes easier when you improve your system gradually instead of demanding a complete personality change overnight. Your environment also deserves attention because your surroundings influence your choices more than you may notice. A phone beside your bed makes checking messages easy. A television facing your chair makes entertainment easy. Junk food on the table makes an unplanned snack easy. A book beside your work area makes reading easier. Running shoes near the door make exercise easier to start. You do not need unlimited willpower when you make good choices easier and unwanted choices less convenient. For the next 90 days, stop asking yourself how strong your willpower is. Ask how well your environment supports the person you want to become. This is a much more practical question. Strong discipline is not always about resisting temptation for hours. Sometimes it means removing the temptation before the struggle begins. A person who wants to study can leave the phone in another room. A person who wants to sleep earlier can charge the phone away from the bed. A person who wants to spend less can remove shopping apps from the home screen. Good decisions become easier when the environment supports them. Your language also matters because the words you use can reveal the decisions you are avoiding. Notice the difference between saying, "I am trying to exercise," and saying, "I exercise every morning." Notice the difference between, "I want to become organized," and "I prepare tomorrow before I sleep." The second statements describe behavior. They give you something specific to prove. You do not need to pretend you have already mastered everything. You need to describe the standard you are practicing. There will also be moments when the person you want to become conflicts with the person you have been. This is normal. You may reach for your phone because you always have. You may delay important work because discomfort feels familiar. You may speak too quickly during an argument because that response has become automatic. The important moment is not the mistake itself. The important moment is what you do immediately after noticing it. Learn to use the pause. Stop for a few seconds. Breathe normally. Name what is happening, then choose the response that matches the person you want to become. This small pause is powerful because it creates space between an impulse and an action. You do not need perfect emotional control. You need enough awareness to make a better choice more often. Consider a simple example. Someone sends you a message that makes you angry. Your old pattern may be to answer immediately. Your new standard may be to wait 10 minutes and read the message again before responding. That 10-minute pause may prevent an argument that would have damaged a relationship for days. Becoming a better person does not always require a dramatic achievement. Sometimes it means changing what happens in the 5 seconds after you feel irritated. The same principle applies to work. Your old pattern may be opening your phone every few minutes during an important task. Your new standard may be working for 25 minutes without checking messages. At the end of that period, you can check what needs attention, then return to the task. You are not simply getting more work done. You are training your mind to stay with one responsibility long enough to complete it. Use the same approach with money. Your old pattern may be buying something because you feel tired or bored. Your new standard can be waiting 24 hours before making a non-essential purchase. That pause separates desire from decision. After 90 days, you may discover that many things you wanted were not actually important. You have not just saved money. You have learned something about your own behavior. This is why 90 days should be treated as a period of observation as well as improvement. Pay attention to yourself. Notice what makes you lose focus. Notice what time of day you make poor decisions. Notice which people increase your stress. Notice which activities leave you feeling calm and prepared. Notice what happens after poor sleep. Notice how food affects your energy. Notice how much better you work after preparing your day in advance. Self-knowledge becomes useful when it changes what you do. Keep a short daily record. You do not need a complicated journal. At night, write 3 things. Write what you did well. Write where you lost control. Write what you will change tomorrow. This takes only a few minutes. The purpose is not to judge yourself. The purpose is to create a feedback system. Without feedback, you can repeat the same mistake for months while believing you are making progress. Be honest in this record. Do not write what makes you look good. Write what helps you improve. If you spent 2 hours scrolling instead of working, record it. If you lost your temper, record it. If you completed the task you had been avoiding, record that too. Honest information gives you something to work with. Self-criticism usually gives you nothing except more stress. You should also decide what you will stop doing during these 90 days. Growth is not only about adding good habits. Sometimes progress comes from removing behaviors that consume your time and attention. Choose one behavior that repeatedly causes problems. It might be staying up too late. It might be checking social media during work. It might be complaining about problems without taking action. It might be spending time with people who constantly pull you into unnecessary conflict. Do not try to remove everything at once. Choose the behavior that creates the largest cost. Then make one clear rule around it. For example, you may decide that social media is allowed only after your most important task is complete. You may decide that your phone stays outside the bedroom at night. You may decide that you will not discuss a problem repeatedly unless you are also discussing a possible action. A clear rule is easier to follow than a general intention. There is another decision you need to make. Decide what deserves your best energy. Most people give their best attention to whatever demands it first. Messages arrive, notifications appear, someone asks for something, a video starts playing. The day becomes busy before anything important happens. A better approach is to identify one meaningful task before the day begins and give it your freshest attention. This does not require waking at an extreme hour or following someone else's routine. It requires knowing what matters before other people decide it for you. Spend a few minutes each evening choosing the most important task for tomorrow. Write it down. Make the first step clear. Then begin with that step when the day starts. You remove one decision from the morning and make it easier to begin. Your 90 days should also include one area of learning. Becoming a better version of yourself requires more than changing habits. You need better knowledge. Choose one useful skill and study it consistently. Read about it. Watch lessons, practice it, take notes. Apply what you learn, then look at the result. Learning becomes powerful when information turns into behavior. Do not measure learning only by how much you consume. A person can watch hundreds of videos about communication and still avoid difficult conversations. Someone can read dozens of books about money and still spend without a plan. Someone can listen to motivational content every morning and still avoid important work. Knowledge has value when it changes a decision. During these 90 days, ask yourself one simple question after learning something useful. How will I use this today? Your relationships also reveal the person you are becoming. Personal growth is not only private achievement, it affects how you treat people. A stronger person does not need to win every conversation. A more mature person can admit a mistake without defending it for 20 minutes. A disciplined person can keep a promise without needing praise. A confident person can listen without constantly trying to prove their worth. Choose one relationship behavior to improve. Maybe you interrupt people too often. Maybe you avoid difficult conversations. Maybe you become defensive when someone gives feedback. Maybe you promise things and forget them. Pick one pattern and work on it for 90 days. Practice listening completely before responding. Repeat what you understood before giving your opinion. Say, I was wrong when the facts are clear. These actions build trust because people can see them. Your emotions deserve the same practical attention. Do not make the goal to feel positive every day. That is unrealistic. Some days will feel heavy. Some mornings will begin with low energy. Some plans will fail. Someone may disappoint you. You may make a decision you regret. The useful goal is to become someone who can act responsibly despite temporary emotions. Create a rule for difficult days. Keep your minimum commitments even when your motivation is low. Your minimum may be 10 minutes of exercise instead of an hour. It may be 15 minutes of study instead of a full lesson. It may be completing one important task instead of 5. This protects consistency. You are teaching yourself that a difficult day can reduce the amount of work without giving you permission to abandon the direction. This is one of the most useful ideas for a 90-day change. Do not confuse a smaller effort with failure. A person who trains for 1 hour on Monday and quits for 10 days has less consistency than someone who trains for 15 minutes on difficult days and continues. Your minimum standard keeps the habit alive, while your normal standard pushes you forward. At the end of every 7 days, review the evidence. Do not ask whether you feel transformed. Feelings change too quickly to be a reliable measurement. Look at your actions. How many mornings did you follow your routine? How many important tasks did you complete? How often did you control your phone use? How many times did you exercise? How much time did you spend learning? How did you handle pressure? What caused your worst day? Then make one adjustment. Do not redesign your entire life every Sunday. Change one thing that clearly needs improvement. Maybe your morning routine is too long. Make it shorter. Maybe your exercise time is unrealistic. Move it to a better hour. Maybe your study plan requires too much preparation. Simplify it. The goal is to build a routine that survives real life. Real life is the test of your new identity. Your routine should work during busy weeks. It should work when you are tired. It should work when plans change. A system that only works during perfect conditions is not strong enough. That is why you should build flexibility into your 90 days. Keep the main behavior stable while allowing the method to change. You also need to stop comparing your beginning with someone else's middle. You do not know how long another person has practiced. You do not know what support they have. You do not know what mistakes they made before you saw the result. Your useful comparison is with your own recent behavior. Are you more reliable than 30 days ago? Do you recover faster after mistakes? Do you waste less time? Do you make better choices under pressure? Those changes may not look impressive from the outside. They are still important. A person who used to lose an entire evening to their phone and now stops after 20 minutes has made real progress. A person who used to avoid exercise and now walks every morning has changed a daily behavior. A person who used to react immediately during conflict and now pauses before speaking has developed control. These changes build a different life because they change what happens repeatedly. There is a deeper reason to decide who you want to become before deciding what you want to achieve. Goals have an ending. A person who wants to lose weight eventually reaches a number. A person who wants to earn a certain amount eventually reaches an income target. A person who wants to finish a course eventually completes it. But the behaviors that created those results can continue for years. The real achievement is becoming capable of creating good results again. So use the 90 days to build capability. Learn how to plan. Learn how to focus. Learn how to manage your time. Learn how to control unnecessary spending. Learn how to handle uncomfortable conversations. Learn how to recover after a bad day. Learn how to keep working without constant excitement. These skills remain valuable after the 90 days are over. Do not wait for a dramatic moment to prove that you have changed. Look at tomorrow morning. Look at the first decision you make after waking. Look at what you do during the first hour. Look at the task you have been avoiding. Look at the way you speak to someone who disagrees with you. Look at what you do when nobody is watching. Your new identity is being built through these ordinary moments. For the next 90 days, make your decisions visible through your actions. Write down the person you want to become. Choose the behaviors that person would practice. Remove one habit that keeps pulling you backward. Make your environment support your choices. Keep small promises every day. Review your behavior every week. Correct what is not working. Keep learning, keep practicing, keep paying attention to the evidence. You do not need to become a completely different person tomorrow. You need to make enough different decisions today that tomorrow becomes easier to improve. Then repeat that process. 90 days of honest effort can show you what you are capable of doing when your daily behavior matches the person you say you want to become. Chapter 2. Cut the habits that waste your days. A large part of changing your life is learning what no longer deserves a place in it. Many people believe they need more discipline, more energy, and more time, when the real problem is often much simpler. Their days are being consumed by small habits that seem harmless but quietly take hours away from useful work, rest, learning, and meaningful relationships. Look closely at an ordinary day, and you may find several activities that give you almost nothing in return. You check your phone without a reason. You open one video and continue watching another. You read comments from people you do not know. You refresh an app because you feel slightly bored. You move between tasks without finishing any of them. None of these actions may feel serious while they are happening. The problem appears later, when the day is over and the important work is still waiting. One useful lesson is to stop judging habits by how small they look. Judge them by how often they happen and what they cause afterward. Checking your phone for 3 minutes may not matter once. Doing it 20 times during a workday is different. A short distraction can become a repeated interruption. After enough interruptions, your attention becomes scattered and your important work takes much longer. Start by finding your invisible time leaks. For one full day, do not try to change anything. Simply record where your time goes. Write down the moment you start an activity and the moment you stop. Include the small things that normally disappear from your memory. Write down every unnecessary phone check. Record long conversations that had no purpose. Notice how often you leave your work area. Notice how much time disappears between finishing one task and starting another. This exercise can feel uncomfortable because accurate information removes excuses. You may discover that you spend more time consuming other people's opinions than developing your own skills. You may notice that you spend your most alert hours on entertainment and your tired hours on important responsibilities. You may find that your evening disappears through a series of small choices rather than one large mistake. Do not react with guilt. Guilt is not a useful time management system. Use the information to make decisions. Pick one habit that consumes a large amount of time or repeatedly damages your attention. Do not choose 5 habits at once. Choose the one that gives you the greatest opportunity to recover useful time. Then study the reason behind it. Most unwanted habits have a trigger. You may reach for your phone after completing a difficult paragraph because the work feels uncomfortable. You may open social media after receiving criticism because you want a quick emotional escape. You may start cleaning your room when an important task feels difficult. The visible behavior is not always the real problem. The real problem may be boredom, uncertainty, stress, or the desire to avoid discomfort. This changes the way you remove a habit. Instead of saying, "I need to stop doing this," identify what happens immediately before it. Write down the situation, the feeling, and the action. For example, you might notice that you open entertainment apps whenever you feel confused during work. That tells you something useful. You do not simply need less screen time. You need a better response to confusion. Create a replacement for the old behavior. When you become confused, write down exactly what you do not understand. Search your notes. Read the instructions again. Break the task into one smaller step. Ask someone for clarification when necessary. The replacement must be easy enough to use at the moment the old habit normally appears. This approach works because removing a behavior without replacing its purpose leaves an empty space. Your mind still wants relief from stress or boredom. If you provide no alternative, the old habit becomes attractive again. A useful replacement gives you another way to handle the same feeling without losing an hour. Your phone deserves special attention because it can interrupt your day without making a sound. You do not need to receive a notification to check it. The habit can become automatic. Your hand moves toward the device before you have decided that you want to use it. Start creating physical distance. Put the phone in a drawer during important work. Leave it across the room while reading. Keep it away from your bed while sleeping. These simple changes remove many opportunities for unconscious checking. Another powerful change is to remove unnecessary choices. Turn off notifications that do not require immediate attention. Move distracting applications away from your main screen. Log out of accounts that encourage repeated checking. Keep entertainment separate from your work environment. The goal is not to declare that technology is bad. The goal is to decide who controls your attention. You should also examine the habit of saying yes too quickly. Wasted time does not always come from entertainment. Sometimes it comes from unnecessary commitments. Someone asks for your help. You agree immediately. Someone invites you somewhere. You accept without checking your schedule. Someone wants to discuss a problem for an hour. You stay because you do not know how to leave politely. Learn to pause before accepting requests. You can say that you need to check your schedule first. This small sentence gives you time to decide. Ask yourself whether the request is important, whether you are the right person to handle it, and what you would have to remove from your day to make room for it. Helping others is valuable, but giving away every available hour does not make you responsible. It makes your priorities impossible to protect. Pay attention to unnecessary conversations as well. Some conversations solve problems. Others only repeat the same complaint. You can recognize the difference by what happens afterward. A useful conversation produces a decision, understanding, or action. A repetitive conversation produces the same frustration without movement. You do not need to be rude. You can listen briefly and then bring the discussion toward what can actually be done. There is another habit that quietly wastes days. It is preparing forever without starting. You organize files, you watch another tutorial, you buy another notebook, you make another plan, you adjust your schedule again. Preparation feels productive because something is happening, but the important question is whether the real work has begun. Give preparation a clear limit. Spend a short amount of time deciding what needs to happen, then begin. Your first attempt will teach you more than another hour of planning, because real work reveals problems that planning cannot predict. You learn where you are slow. You learn what information is missing. You learn which part of the task actually matters. You should also cut the habit of constantly switching between unfinished tasks. Moving from email to writing, then to messages, then to a video, then back to writing may make you feel busy. It does not guarantee useful progress. Each switch requires you to remember where you were and what you were doing. That mental effort makes simple work feel harder. Give unfinished tasks a stopping point and a return point. Before leaving a task, write one short sentence explaining exactly what you will do next. This prevents you from wasting time trying to remember where you stopped. It also makes restarting easier because the next action is already decided. Even your home environment can create wasted time. Items without a proper place become small daily problems. You search for keys, you look for documents, you cannot find a charger, you move things from one chair to another. Each search may take only a few minutes, but repeated disorder creates friction throughout the week. Give frequently used items a fixed location. Keep important documents together. Prepare clothes before busy mornings. Put commonly used objects back immediately after use. These actions seem ordinary, but they reduce repeated decisions and searches. A well-arranged environment gives your attention fewer problems to solve. For the next 7 days, practice one important rule. Do not allow boredom to make your decisions. Boredom is a normal feeling, not an instruction. You do not have to answer it with your phone. You can sit quietly for a few minutes. You can walk. You can read. You can clean something useful. You can continue the task in front of you. There is strength in becoming comfortable with a few quiet minutes. Many people constantly consume information because silence feels uncomfortable. But silence gives you space to notice what you actually want to do. It also makes it easier to recognize habits that normally operate without your attention. At the end of each day, identify one activity that took time without giving you something valuable in return. Do not create a long list. Name one. Then decide what you will do differently tomorrow. Over several weeks, these small corrections can remove large amounts of wasted time from your life. Your goal is not to make every minute productive. Rest matters. Play matters. Conversation matters. Sitting quietly matters. The difference is whether you choose those activities or fall into them automatically. A healthy day includes enjoyment because you decided it belongs there, not because you lost control of your attention. The next 90 days become more valuable when you stop carrying habits that no longer serve your life. Every unnecessary behavior you remove gives you more room for something useful. More room to learn, more room to work, more room to rest properly, more room to speak with people you care about, more room to become the person you decided to become. Start with one wasted hour. Find where it goes. Find what triggers it. Remove one part of the process. Replace it with a better action. Repeat tomorrow. Then repeat again. Change becomes much more practical when you stop trying to control your entire life and begin taking back the small pieces of your day that you have been giving away without noticing. Chapter 3. Wake up knowing exactly what matters. Your morning can decide more than your mood. The first part of your day often determines where your attention goes before other people, and other demands begin competing for it. A clear morning does not require a perfect routine. It requires knowing what deserves your attention before the day starts making decisions for you. Many people wake up and immediately enter reaction mode. They check messages, they read notifications, they look at news, they open social media. They answer someone else's question before considering their own priorities. Within minutes, their mind is filled with information that was created by other people. The day has started, but their own direction has not. there is a better way to begin. Decide what matters before you need to decide it. The night before, write down the one task that would make tomorrow meaningful, even if everything else became difficult. Keep it specific. Do not write, "Improve my life." Write, "Complete the first section of the report." Practice the skill for 40 minutes. Take the morning walk. Make the important phone call. Specific tasks remove confusion. Then identify 2 smaller responsibilities that support the main task. This creates a simple structure for the day. You know what deserves priority and what can wait. You are not trying to control every minute. You are giving your attention a clear direction. There is an important difference between being busy and being useful. A busy morning can contain dozens of completed actions, while the most important responsibility remains untouched. You can answer messages, organize files, clean your desk, check updates, and make lists for an hour. You may feel productive because you have been moving, but movement is not the same as progress. Ask yourself one practical question each morning. What result matters most today? Then connect your first serious work period to that result. This creates a direct relationship between your morning and your larger goals. You are no longer simply completing whatever appears first. You are choosing what deserves your best attention. Your first hour does not have to be long or complicated. Give yourself enough quiet time to become aware of the day. Drink water. Wash your face. Sit somewhere without your phone. Review the important task. Look at your schedule. Then begin. The value comes from clarity, not from performing a long list of morning rituals. One useful practice is to avoid making major decisions immediately after waking. Sleep can affect your alertness and emotional state. You may wake up tired, irritated, or mentally slow. Give your mind a short period to become fully active before making important choices. Use that early time for simple actions that prepare you for the work ahead. Your phone should not automatically receive the first minutes of your attention. A message from someone else may be important, but it does not automatically deserve priority over your own responsibilities. Set a specific time for checking messages. Once that time arrives, respond to what genuinely needs a response. This prevents other people's urgency from becoming your entire schedule. There is another morning habit worth changing. Stop deciding what matters based only on how you feel. Feelings are useful information, but they are not always good instructions. You may feel like exercising tomorrow. You may not feel like studying. You may feel excited about a project today and bored with it next week. A serious commitment cannot depend entirely on daily emotional changes. Use a simple rule. Decide your priorities while you are calm, then follow them when your emotions change. This is one of the foundations of self-discipline. You do not need to feel ready before beginning. You need to know what you decided was important. Your morning also becomes stronger when you separate urgent tasks from important tasks. An urgent task demands attention because someone is waiting or because there is a deadline. An important task improves your future, even though nobody may be asking about it today. Learning a skill is important. Exercising is important. Planning your finances is important. Building a meaningful project is important. These responsibilities often have no immediate pressure, which makes them easy to postpone. Give important work a place before urgent work fills the schedule. This does not mean ignoring real responsibilities. It means protecting some time for activities that improve your life over months and years. Without this protection, the urgent will repeatedly consume the important. Think about a person who wants to learn a new skill but spends every morning answering messages. By evening, the person is tired and promises to study tomorrow. The same pattern continues for weeks. The problem is not a lack of desire. The problem is that the skill never received a reliable place in the day. A small morning commitment could change that pattern. You can also use a morning decision list with 3 categories. Write what must be done today. Write what should be done if time allows. Write what can wait. This simple separation reduces mental pressure. You no longer carry every task as though it has equal importance. Do not fill your list with 20 items. A crowded list can make the day feel impossible before it begins. Choose fewer responsibilities and complete them properly. There is satisfaction in finishing 3 meaningful tasks that were chosen carefully. There is less value in touching 15 tasks and finishing none. Your morning should also include a clear stopping point for planning. Planning can become another form of avoidance. Give yourself a few minutes to organize the day, then move into action. You learn about your priorities by working on them. You discover problems by starting. You understand what needs adjustment after seeing real progress. Pay attention to the first task you choose after preparing. It should require real effort. Do not spend your freshest attention on easy work simply because it feels comfortable. Easy tasks can create a quick sense of achievement, but difficult work often creates the progress you actually need. Start with the task that requires your mind, rather than the task that gives you the fastest satisfaction. This may feel less comfortable at first. That discomfort is useful information. It shows you are asking your attention to do something more demanding than consuming information. There will be mornings when your plan does not work. You may wake up late. Someone may need your help. An unexpected responsibility may appear. Do not treat one disrupted morning as a failed day. Reduce the plan without abandoning the priority. Decide what smaller version of the important task can still be completed. For example, a planned hour of study may become 20 minutes. A long workout may become a short walk. A large project may become one completed section. The purpose is to maintain direction when circumstances change. Flexibility protects consistency. Your morning decisions should also reflect your long-term values. Ask yourself what you want your days to say about you. Do you want to be known as someone who keeps learning, someone who takes care of their body, someone who gives full attention to important work, someone who treats family with patience? Your schedule should contain evidence of those values. This is where a 90-day period becomes powerful. A single morning may not change much. A clear morning repeated for 3 months can change your habits, your confidence, and the amount of meaningful work you complete. You begin to know what matters because you repeatedly make space for it. Keep a simple record of your mornings. Write the date. Write your main task. Write whether you completed it. After 2 weeks, look at the pattern. You may notice that certain days work better. You may discover that late nights damage your morning focus. You may find that checking your phone early makes it harder to concentrate. This information allows you to improve the routine based on your actual life. Do not copy another person's morning routine without understanding your own needs. Someone else's schedule may not fit your work, family, sleep, or responsibilities. The purpose is not to create a morning that looks impressive. The purpose is to create a beginning that helps you handle your real day. A clear morning also changes how you experience pressure. When you already know what matters, unexpected demands become easier to evaluate. You can ask whether they are truly urgent. You can decide what can move. You can protect the responsibility that cannot be ignored. Without a priority, every new request feels equally important. Before you sleep tonight, choose tomorrow's most important result. Put the materials you need where you can see them. Decide when you will begin. Remove one likely distraction. Then go to sleep, knowing that the first important decision has already been made. Tomorrow morning, do not wait for the day to tell you what matters. Start with your own decision. Give your best attention to the responsibility that can move your life forward. Let small tasks wait for their proper time. Let unnecessary noise remain outside your first serious work period. A meaningful day does not require you to accomplish everything. It requires you to recognize what deserves your energy and give it enough attention to matter. Once you learn to begin your day with that clarity, your 90 days stop being a collection of random efforts and become a steady practice of choosing what is important and acting on it. Chapter 4. Do the hard things before comfort wins. Comfort becomes expensive when you keep choosing it at the exact moment your life needs effort. The difficult task does not become easier because you avoid it. The conversation does not become less necessary because you postpone it. The work does not disappear because you watch something entertaining first. During these 90 days, one important skill is learning to act before temporary comfort makes the decision for you. The hardest part of many tasks is not the task itself. It is starting. A blank page can feel uncomfortable. A difficult workout can feel unpleasant before your body gets moving. Studying after a long day can feel demanding. Making a necessary phone call can create tension before you dial the number. Your mind often reacts to anticipated discomfort before the real work has even begun. Learn to separate discomfort from danger. Feeling resistance does not mean something is wrong. Sometimes it simply means the activity requires effort. Your brain naturally prefers familiar actions that provide quick satisfaction. That is why scrolling can feel easier than studying, and entertainment can feel easier than cleaning up a financial problem. The easier choice gives an immediate reward. The harder choice often gives a useful result later. This creates a daily decision that most people face without noticing. Do you want the comfort of avoiding the task now, or the satisfaction of having handled it later? The answer becomes easier when you stop treating every uncomfortable feeling as a reason to stop. You can feel resistance and still move. Start with the task you have been postponing. Do not spend 20 minutes preparing to prepare. Put the necessary materials in front of you. Set a short starting period. Tell yourself that you only need to work for 10 minutes. 10 minutes is small enough to overcome much of the initial resistance. Once you begin, the task often becomes clearer because you are no longer fighting an imagined problem. There is a useful lesson here about action. Motivation often appears after movement rather than before it. People wait to feel ready, but readiness is not always available on demand. Starting creates information. Information reduces uncertainty. Reduced uncertainty makes the next step easier. The process can begin with very little enthusiasm. Use this idea with exercise. Do not negotiate with yourself for 20 minutes about whether you feel like working out. Put on your clothes and begin the first simple movement. After 5 minutes, decide how much more you can reasonably do. This removes the endless internal discussion that often consumes more energy than the exercise itself. The same method works with learning. Open the book, read one page, write 3 notes, solve one problem, practice one skill. You are not trying to create a perfect study session. You are creating evidence that difficult work can begin even without a strong emotional push. Hard work also becomes easier when you identify the exact point where you usually quit. Maybe you stop after 10 minutes because the material becomes confusing. Maybe you leave the gym when the exercise becomes uncomfortable. Maybe you abandon a project when the first mistake appears. Find your normal stopping point and prepare for it. Before starting, decide what you will do when that moment arrives. You might take a short break and return. You might reduce the task, but continue. You might write down the question that confused you and solve it later. You might complete one more repetition. The purpose is not to punish yourself. It is to stop making decisions at the exact moment your emotions are strongest. Another useful practice is to complete one difficult responsibility before entertainment each day. Entertainment is not wrong. Rest is necessary. The problem begins when comfort always comes before responsibility. Your brain learns that effort can be delayed whenever something pleasant is available. Reverse that order. Finish one meaningful task first, then enjoy your free time without carrying unfinished work in the back of your mind. The experience of relaxing changes when you know you have already handled something important. You are resting by choice instead of escaping from responsibility. Be careful with the word hard. Not everything difficult is valuable. You should not create suffering simply to prove that you are disciplined. The goal is useful difficulty. Learn a skill that improves your work. Exercise in a way that supports your health. Have the conversation that protects a relationship. Review your finances because they affect your future. Complete the responsibility you agreed to handle. Useful difficulty has a clear reason behind it. It produces a skill, result, understanding, or stronger habit. This is different from making life difficult for no purpose. Good discipline is not about doing the hardest possible thing. It is about doing the necessary thing, even when another option feels easier. You also need to understand the difference between rest and avoidance. Rest helps you recover so you can return to meaningful work. Avoidance helps you escape meaningful work without solving the problem. After genuine rest, you usually feel more prepared. After avoidance, the unfinished task often feels heavier because you know it is still waiting. Watch how you feel after different activities. A short walk may leave you refreshed. An hour of mindless scrolling may leave you restless. A focused work session may leave you tired but satisfied. These reactions give you useful information about what actually restores you and what simply occupies your attention. Your environment can make difficult actions easier to start. Keep the book open on your desk. Prepare your exercise clothes before sleeping. Put the document you need on your computer screen. Keep the phone away from the work area. Remove unnecessary steps between the decision and the action. Every extra step gives your mind another chance to choose comfort. You can also create a fixed starting time for recurring responsibilities. Do not wait until you feel like exercising. Do not wait until you suddenly want to study. Give the activity a regular place in the day. A fixed time reduces negotiation. You know what happens next because you have already decided. During these 90 days, pay attention to the excuses you use most often. Write them down. You may notice patterns such as, "I am too tired," "I will do it tomorrow," "I need more time," "I need to learn more first," or "I am not in the right mood." Do not attack yourself for having these thoughts. Study them. Ask whether the excuse describes a real limitation or temporary resistance. Sometimes you truly are tired and need sleep. Sometimes a deadline genuinely needs to move. Sometimes your body needs recovery. Discipline includes knowing the difference between a real limit and a convenient excuse. That judgment becomes stronger when you observe your behavior honestly instead of automatically believing every thought that appears. Another practical exercise is to choose one uncomfortable action each morning. Keep it reasonable. Make the difficult phone call. Spend 20 minutes learning a skill. Clean the area you have ignored. Complete the part of your work that requires the most concentration. Have a respectful conversation you have been postponing. The purpose is to train yourself to approach necessary tasks instead of automatically moving away from them. Do not make the mistake of expecting every difficult action to feel rewarding. Sometimes the reward is simply knowing the responsibility has been handled. You may not enjoy studying every day. You may not enjoy exercising every day. You may not enjoy organizing your finances. You can still recognize their value. That understanding creates maturity. Adults often have responsibilities that do not become enjoyable just because they are important. The ability to act without needing constant pleasure is one of the most useful forms of personal discipline. It allows you to make decisions based on value rather than mood. Your 90 days should contain proof of this ability. Each week, choose one area where you have been avoiding effort. Work on it consistently. Do not measure success only by the final result. Measure whether you started on time, stayed with the task, returned after interruptions, and completed what you could control. You will also discover something about yourself during this process. Many things that seem difficult before beginning will become normal after repeated practice. The first week of early exercise may feel uncomfortable. A month later, the same routine may feel ordinary. The first difficult conversation may create anxiety. Later, you may become more comfortable speaking honestly. Repetition changes your response to effort. That is why these 90 days are not about proving that you can suffer. They are about expanding what you can handle responsibly. Each useful challenge gives you more evidence that discomfort does not have to control your decisions. Tomorrow, identify the task you are most tempted to postpone. Put it ahead of one easy source of entertainment. Give it your attention before you look for comfort. Start before you feel completely ready. Stay long enough to make real progress. Then notice how different the rest of your day feels when the responsibility is no longer waiting for you. Do the necessary work while the day is still giving you energy. Choose useful effort over temporary escape. Let comfort have its proper place after responsibility has been handled. Over 90 days, this simple change can alter not only what you accomplish, but also how much you trust yourself to act when something matters. Chapter 5. Control your attention when life gets noisy. Your attention is one of the few resources you spend every day without being able to recover yesterday's supply. Money can be earned again. A missed opportunity can sometimes return. Lost attention is different because the moment has already passed. During these 90 days, learning to control where your mind goes may be more valuable than trying to fit more activities into your schedule. Modern life gives your attention constant competition. A phone vibrates on the table, a message appears, a new video starts. Someone calls your name, an email arrives, a thought about an unfinished task enters your mind, then another thought follows it. None of these interruptions needs to be dramatic to cause a problem. Their combined effect can make focused work feel unusually difficult. Start by understanding that attention and time are not the same thing. You may have 2 free hours and still accomplish very little, because your attention keeps changing direction. You can sit at a desk for an entire morning while spending only small periods actually engaged with the work. This is why adding more hours does not automatically create better results. A practical way to improve this is to work in protected periods. Choose one task. Decide how long you will give it your full attention. Remove unnecessary interruptions before beginning. Put your phone away. Close unrelated tabs. Tell people around you that you need uninterrupted time if that is possible. Then work only on that responsibility until the period ends. Start with a realistic period rather than trying to concentrate for several hours immediately. 20 or 30 minutes can be enough to train your attention. The important part is not the number of minutes. The important part is that you do not repeatedly give your mind permission to leave the task. Your mind will wander. That does not mean you have failed. A thought about dinner may appear. You may remember a message you need to answer. You may suddenly want to search for something unrelated. Notice the thought without following it. Write it down if necessary, and return to the task. This simple act teaches your attention that every thought does not require immediate action. One of the least understood problems with distraction is the unfinished mental business it creates. Suppose you are writing something important and stop to check a message. Even after you return to your work, part of your attention may remain connected to the message. You may wonder whether someone replied. You may think about what you read. You may feel tempted to check again. The task now has competition inside your own mind. This is why checking information repeatedly can be more damaging than the few seconds it takes. The interruption creates additional mental work. You have to stop, process something new, and then rebuild your focus. The cost is not visible on a clock, but it appears in the quality of your work. Create specific times for communication. You do not need to answer every message immediately unless your responsibilities genuinely require it. Tell people when you are available. Check messages in groups instead of allowing them to interrupt every important task. This gives your communication a place without allowing it to control the entire day. You should also examine the information you consume. Not everything you read deserves space in your mind. Some content teaches you something useful. Some content helps you connect with people. Some content is simply designed to keep you watching. Learn to recognize the difference. A useful test is to ask what you expect to gain before opening something. If you cannot answer, pause. You may discover that you were about to open the app because you felt bored rather than because you needed information. That small moment of awareness can prevent many automatic habits. Your attention becomes stronger when you practice doing one ordinary activity without additional stimulation. Eat a meal without watching a video. Walk without constantly checking your phone. Drink your morning coffee without scrolling. Sit for a few minutes without filling the silence. These simple periods give your mind practice staying with one experience. Silence may feel uncomfortable at first. That is useful information. If your mind immediately searches for stimulation, you have discovered a habit that deserves attention. You do not need to eliminate entertainment. You need to make sure you can function without it. Another important skill is learning to finish before switching. Many people keep several tasks open because starting something new feels easier than continuing something difficult. They begin writing, then check email. They start reading, then watch a video. They return to writing, then remember another responsibility. The day becomes a series of beginnings without enough finished work. Choose a clear stopping point before starting. For example, complete the first 2 pages, finish 5 exercises. Write the first section, organize 1 drawer, call 1 person. A defined finish line helps your mind stay with the responsibility because you know what completion means. Your surroundings can also influence attention more than you expect. A messy desk can create visual reminders of unfinished tasks. A television playing in the background can pull your awareness away from reading. A phone placed face up can make you wonder whether something arrived. Reduce unnecessary signals when you need concentration. You can also create a dedicated place for focused work. It does not need to be an office. A particular chair, desk, library table, or quiet corner can become associated with concentration. Over time, entering that space can make it easier to begin because the environment has a consistent purpose. Do not underestimate the effect of sleep on attention. A tired mind has less ability to resist distractions and maintain careful thinking. If you regularly sacrifice sleep for entertainment or unnecessary screen time, the next day becomes harder before it even starts. Protecting your sleep is not separate from productivity. It directly affects your ability to concentrate and make good decisions. Food, movement, and breaks also influence your ability to focus. You do not need complicated routines. Regular meals, enough water, physical movement, and short periods away from demanding work can help you maintain energy. The goal is not to force your brain to work continuously. The goal is to use your energy wisely. There is also a social side to attention. Some people interrupt themselves before anyone else has the chance. They check their phone during conversations. They think about their next response while another person is speaking. They look around the room while someone is explaining something important. Full attention is a form of respect. Practice listening without preparing your reply too early. Let the other person finish. Look at them. Notice their words and tone. Ask a clear question when something is unclear. You may discover that many conversations become easier when you stop trying to control them. Your attention also becomes stronger when you learn to say no to information that does not support your current priorities. You do not need to know every update. You do not need to follow every discussion. You do not need an opinion about every event. Every piece of information you consume takes some space from your mental attention. During these 90 days, choose what you want to know more carefully. Follow sources that teach you something useful. Read material connected to your goals. Spend less time consuming random information simply because it is available. Information becomes valuable when it improves your decisions. Try a simple attention experiment for 1 week. Choose one important activity each day and give it 30 uninterrupted minutes. During that period, keep a piece of paper nearby. Every time you feel the urge to switch, make a small mark on the paper instead. Do not act on the urge. At the end, count the marks. You will see how often your attention attempts to leave. Repeat the experiment after several days. The number may change. More importantly, you will become aware of the moments that normally pass unnoticed. Awareness gives you the opportunity to train your response. You are no longer simply saying that you have poor focus. You are observing exactly how your focus breaks. There is another useful question to ask during the day. Where is my attention right now? This question takes only a second. It can be asked while working, eating, talking, studying, or resting. Sometimes you will realize that your body is in one place, while your mind is somewhere completely different. Bring it back without frustration. Focus is not the absence of wandering thoughts. Focus is the repeated ability to return. Each return is practice. Each time you notice distraction and choose to continue, you strengthen the skill you are trying to develop. Do not aim to control every thought. That would create another source of stress. Your goal is to control your response to your thoughts. A thought can appear without becoming an action. A notification can arrive without receiving an immediate response. A person can ask for your attention without automatically receiving it. You can choose. That choice becomes increasingly important as your responsibilities grow. More opportunities create more demands. More people can contact you. More information becomes available. Without attention control, a larger life can become a more distracted life. For the rest of these 90 days, treat your attention as something worth protecting. Give important work uninterrupted periods. Reduce unnecessary notifications. Create clear communication times. Practice quiet activities. Finish meaningful tasks before switching. Listen properly during conversations. Sleep enough to support clear thinking. Notice every time your mind leaves and calmly bring it back. Your life will not become quiet simply because you decide to focus. Messages will still arrive. People will still need you. Problems will still appear. Unexpected events will still interrupt your plans. The real improvement is becoming capable of deciding what deserves your attention even while those things are happening. That skill gives your day a different quality. You stop reacting to every signal. You become more deliberate about what enters your mind and what receives your energy. You may still have a busy life, but your attention no longer has to be scattered across everything that demands it. Over 90 days, that difference can change the quality of your work, your relationships, your learning, and the way you experience your own day. Chapter 6. Keep your promises to yourself every day. Self-respect grows from what you repeatedly prove to yourself. Every promise you make to yourself creates a small expectation about your own behavior. Keep enough of those promises, and you begin to trust your decisions. Break them often, and your confidence can weaken even when nobody else knows about it. A promise to yourself does not need to be dramatic. It can be as simple as saying, you will read for 20 minutes, complete a work task, take a walk, practice a skill, or prepare tomorrow before going to bed. The size of the promise matters less than your ability to honor it. Small promises are useful because they give you daily opportunities to build reliability. Start by making fewer promises. Many people create ambitious plans because planning feels exciting. They decide to exercise every day, read 50 pages, wake up early, learn a new skill, eat perfectly, work longer, and stop every bad habit at once. The first few days can feel powerful. Then real life interrupts the plan, and several promises are broken together. A smaller commitment is easier to maintain and gives you stronger evidence that you can depend on yourself. Choose one promise that matters enough to protect every day. Make it specific and measurable. Instead of saying you will work harder, decide that you will spend 30 minutes practicing an important skill. Instead of saying you will become healthier, decide that you will walk after dinner. Clear promises remove the confusion that often allows excuses to enter. There is another rule that can make your commitment stronger. Never make a promise during an emotional high that your ordinary self cannot maintain. You may feel inspired after hearing a powerful speech and decide to change everything tomorrow. But tomorrow, you still have work, responsibilities, tiredness, distractions, and unexpected problems. Your plan must be designed for your normal life, not your most excited moment. Ask yourself what you can honestly do on a difficult Tuesday. That answer is more useful than what you can do on your best day. A commitment that survives ordinary problems is much more valuable than an impressive routine that lasts for 4 days. You should also separate promises from wishes. A wish says you would like something to happen. A promise creates a specific responsibility. Saying I want to read more is a wish. Saying I will read 10 pages before sleeping is a promise. The second statement gives you a behavior that can be completed, measured, and repeated. Keep your promises visible. Write them somewhere you will see them. A small note on your desk can be enough. You can also mark each completed day on a calendar. The purpose is not to create pressure around a perfect streak. The purpose is to make your behavior visible. You cannot improve a pattern that you never examine. There will be days when you fail to keep a commitment. Do not respond by declaring the entire plan useless. Study what happened. Maybe you chose an unrealistic time. Maybe you forgot to prepare. Maybe another responsibility took longer than expected. Maybe you underestimated how tired you would be. Find the actual cause and adjust the system. Suppose you plan to exercise after work, but regularly arrive home exhausted. The lesson may not be that you lack discipline. Your chosen time may simply be poor. Moving the activity to the morning could solve the problem. Good discipline includes changing the method when the method repeatedly fails. Be careful not to turn self-forgiveness into another excuse. There is a difference between correcting a failed plan and giving yourself permission to abandon it. If you miss one day, return the next day. Do not allow one mistake to become a week of avoidance. A broken promise becomes more damaging when you keep extending the break. You can create a recovery rule before problems happen. Decide that missing one day means restarting the next available day. Decide that a difficult day allows you to complete the minimum version of the habit. Decide that you will review the reason for a failure before changing the commitment. These rules prevent emotional decisions from controlling your progress. Your minimum version is especially useful. Imagine your normal commitment is 30 minutes of exercise. On a difficult day, the minimum could be 10 minutes of walking. The purpose is not to pretend that 10 minutes equals 30. The purpose is to maintain the behavior of showing up. You protect continuity while respecting the reality of your circumstances. The same principle works with learning. A normal study session might take 40 minutes. Your minimum could be 10 minutes of focused practice. Open the material and complete one small section. This prevents the habit from becoming associated only with perfect conditions. Keeping promises also requires learning to say no to yourself. You may promise to save money, then see something you want. You may promise to sleep earlier, then start another episode. You may promise to study, then receive an invitation to go out. Your commitment becomes real at the moment another option becomes attractive. This does not mean rejecting every enjoyable experience. It means remembering what you decided before the temptation appeared. A decision made calmly in advance can protect you from a decision made impulsively in the moment. Your personal promises should also include promises about how you treat other people. You can decide to listen before reacting. You can decide not to send angry messages immediately. You can decide to return calls you said you would return. You can decide to arrive on time when someone is depending on you. Reliability is not limited to productivity. It is part of character. Notice how different it feels to know that your word has value, even when the only person listening is you. You do not need applause for every disciplined action. You need evidence that your choices mean something. That evidence develops quietly through repeated behavior. One practical exercise is to create a daily promise card. Write 3 things. Write 1 responsibility for your work. Write 1 action for your health. Write 1 action that improves your personal life. Keep each commitment small enough to complete. At night, mark what happened. Do not write long explanations. Record the facts. After 7 days, look at the pattern. You may discover that one promise is easy while another keeps failing. That information matters. Perhaps your work commitment fits your schedule, but your health commitment does not. Perhaps you are reliable in the morning but struggle at night. Use the pattern to make a better decision. After 30 days, increase the challenge only when the previous commitment feels stable. Do not add more because you are bored. Add more because you have built enough consistency to handle it. Progress should increase your capacity rather than overwhelm your schedule. There is also a connection between keeping promises and confidence. Confidence is often treated as a feeling that should appear before action. In practice, confidence can grow from evidence. You complete something difficult. You see that you handled it. You remember that experience the next time a challenge appears. Your belief becomes more grounded because it is supported by your own behavior. This is why empty self-praise cannot replace disciplined action. Telling yourself that you are capable may feel good for a moment. Completing the task you promised yourself gives you something stronger. It gives you proof. During these 90 days, stop making promises that sound impressive. Make promises that change your behavior. Keep them when nobody is checking. Protect them when something easier appears. Adjust them when they are unrealistic. Return quickly after mistakes. Let your daily actions become evidence of your reliability. At the end of each day, you should be able to point to something and say that you told yourself you would do it, and then you did it. Some days, that may be a major accomplishment. Other days, it may be a quiet responsibility that nobody notices. Both matter because each one strengthens the relationship you have with yourself. The person you become over these 90 days will be shaped by those private decisions, not by what you intended to do, not by what you announced, not by what you planned for someday. Your character becomes easier to see through the commitments you repeatedly honor. Keep your word to yourself today. Make one clear promise, complete it, and let tomorrow contain another. Over time, you will notice something valuable happening inside you. You will hesitate less, trust your decisions more, and approach difficult responsibilities with greater confidence because your own experience has taught you that you can count on yourself. Chapter 7. Face your weakest moments without quitting. Your weakest moments reveal problems that your strongest moments can hide. Anyone can follow a plan when energy is high and everything feels under control. The real test appears after a poor night's sleep, a disappointing result, an argument, a stressful day, or a week where progress seems invisible. Those moments show whether your new habits can survive ordinary human difficulty. Do not treat a difficult day as proof that you have changed nothing. A bad day is information. It tells you how your current system behaves under pressure. That information is useful because your goal is not to create a routine that works only when life is comfortable. Your goal is to build a way of living that can continue through setbacks. Start by changing how you define failure. Missing one workout is an event. Abandoning exercise for 3 months is a pattern. Making one poor financial decision is an event. Continuing the same spending behavior without reviewing it is a pattern. Losing your temper once is a mistake. Refusing to take responsibility afterward turns it into a character problem. This distinction gives you room to recover without becoming careless. You can admit that something went wrong without deciding that everything is ruined. That is an important mental skill because extreme thinking creates unnecessary damage. One mistake becomes, "I always fail." One bad day becomes, "I cannot change." One setback becomes, "There is no point continuing." None of those conclusions is supported by one event. When something goes wrong, describe the event accurately. Do not exaggerate it. Say what happened, what caused it, and what you can control next. Suppose you planned to study for an hour and spent the evening watching videos instead. The useful statement is that you lost control of your evening and need to identify why. The useless statement is that you are lazy and will never improve. Specific language creates specific solutions. Maybe you were exhausted. Maybe the phone was beside you. Maybe the study task was unclear. Maybe you had no starting time. Each cause suggests a different correction. You cannot solve a vague problem because you cannot see what needs to change. Weak moments also have predictable triggers. Learn yours. Some people make poor decisions when they are hungry. Some react badly when they are tired. Some become impulsive after criticism. Others struggle after spending too much time alone or too much time around stressful people. Your personal pattern may be different. For the next few weeks, keep track of the situations that repeatedly weaken your judgment. Write down the time, situation, feeling, and action. After several entries, look for connections. You may discover that your worst decisions are not random. They happen under similar conditions. Once you know the trigger, prepare a response before the next difficult moment. If exhaustion makes you abandon your routine, create a smaller version for tired days. If criticism makes you react quickly, create a rule that you will wait before replying. If loneliness pushes you toward unhealthy habits, decide who you can contact instead. Preparation reduces the amount of thinking required during stress. There is another practical skill that deserves attention. Learn to reduce the size of a task without removing the task completely. This is different from lowering your standards permanently. It means adapting the workload to the day while protecting the direction. A person who normally studies for an hour may study for 15 minutes during a difficult day. Someone who normally exercises for 40 minutes may take a short walk. Someone working on a large project may complete one small section. The smaller action keeps the connection between intention and behavior alive. You should also learn how to recover physically. Weak moments are harder to handle when your body is constantly exhausted. Sleep, food, movement, and recovery affect how well you make decisions. If you repeatedly stay awake for unnecessary entertainment, your ability to control impulses the next day becomes harder. Protecting recovery is part of discipline because tired people have fewer resources for careful choices. Do not use tiredness as an excuse for everything. Use it as information. There are days when rest is the correct decision. There are also days when you are simply avoiding effort. The difference becomes clearer when you look at patterns rather than one isolated moment. Your emotional reactions deserve the same examination. Strong emotions can make a short-term response feel urgent. Anger tells you to answer immediately. Fear tells you to avoid the situation. Disappointment tells you to stop trying. These feelings are real, but they do not automatically provide the best action. Create a delay between strong emotion and major decisions. Do not send the message while angry. Do not quit the project immediately after criticism. Do not make a large purchase because you feel upset. Give yourself time to return to a calmer state. A delay does not solve the problem, but it prevents temporary emotion from making permanent decisions. You can also use a simple 3-step response during stressful moments. Name the problem. Identify what you control. Complete the next useful action. This keeps your attention close to reality. You do not need to solve the entire future while standing inside one difficult moment. Suppose you receive disappointing news about your work. Naming the problem means recognizing exactly what happened. Identifying control means separating your actions from decisions made by other people. The next useful action might be requesting feedback, correcting an error, updating your application, or planning another opportunity. This approach turns emotional pressure into practical movement. Weak moments can also expose unrealistic expectations. Perhaps you expected yourself to improve every week without setbacks. That expectation creates unnecessary frustration. Real progress is uneven. Some weeks produce visible results. Other weeks are mostly about maintaining the behavior. A period of maintenance still matters because it prevents old habits from taking over. Do not measure your progress only by outcomes. Measure your recovery speed. How long did it take you to return after a mistake? How quickly did you repair a damaged relationship? How soon did you restart your routine? How fast did you stop blaming circumstances and begin looking for your next action? Recovery speed is a useful measure because strong people are not people who never struggle. They are people who can return to responsible behavior after struggling. That ability becomes stronger through practice. You should also prepare for predictable periods of low motivation. The middle of a 90-day commitment may feel very different from the beginning. Early excitement fades. The results may not yet be obvious. Friends may not notice your changes. The work may start feeling ordinary. This is where many people stop because they expected constant emotional excitement. Replace excitement with a schedule. A schedule does not require you to feel inspired. It tells you what happens next. You study at the chosen time. You exercise at the chosen time. You review your finances on the chosen day. You practice the skill according to the plan. Your mood can change without changing the responsibility. Another useful strategy is to remember why the behavior matters in concrete terms. Do not rely on dramatic statements. Write down what the habit improves. Exercise gives you more physical capacity. Studying improves a specific skill. Saving money gives you more financial flexibility. Better communication reduces unnecessary conflict. A clear reason makes effort easier to understand. When you feel like quitting, do not immediately ask whether you should continue forever. Ask whether you can continue today. Large time periods can feel overwhelming during emotional lows. Narrow your focus to the next responsible action. Complete that action before making another decision. You can also create a list called My Reasons to Continue. Keep it private. Write practical reasons, not dramatic slogans. Write the skills you are building. Write the problems you are solving. Write the people who benefit from your better behavior. Write what becomes possible if you remain consistent. Read it during difficult periods. Be careful with another common mistake. Do not punish yourself after a weak moment by creating an extreme plan. Someone misses 3 workouts and decides to exercise 2 hours every day. Someone wastes money and creates an impossible budget. Someone falls behind in study and tries to complete an unrealistic amount the next day. Extreme correction often creates another failure. Use a calm correction instead. Return to the normal plan. Fix the specific cause. Continue. Consistency is built through sustainable responses, not emotional punishment. Your 90 days will contain moments that test you. Some will be obvious, others will be quiet. You may wake up and feel no desire to continue. You may receive criticism. You may experience a setback that nobody else understands. You may look at your progress and feel that it is too small. Those moments are not interruptions to the process. They are part of the process. They teach you whether your habits depend on perfect conditions or whether you have developed the ability to continue responsibly. So prepare for your weakest moments while you are feeling strong. Decide how you will respond to missed days. Decide what your minimum effort will be. Decide who you can talk to when you need perspective. Decide which distractions you will remove. Decide how quickly you will return after a mistake. Then, practice returning without drama. No long speech is required. No announcement is necessary. You simply recognize what happened, make the correction, and take the next useful step. A difficult moment does not erase the work you completed before it. One mistake does not cancel every good decision you made. One disappointing week does not determine the next month. Your direction is shaped by what you repeatedly choose after things go wrong. Keep moving through the day that feels difficult. Complete the smaller responsibility if the larger one is too much. Rest when your body genuinely needs recovery. Repair what you can. Learn from what happened. Return to your standards without waiting for a perfect mood. The person you are becoming will not be defined only by how you behave on your best days. Your growth becomes more visible in the moments where quitting feels easier and you choose one responsible action instead. That choice may look small from the outside, but it teaches you something important about yourself. You can struggle without surrendering your direction. Chapter 8. Use each week to fix what failed about you. A week gives you enough time to see your real behavior and enough time to make a useful correction. One day can be unusual. You may sleep badly, face an unexpected problem, or have an unusually busy schedule. 7 days give you a clearer picture. That is why each week of your 90-day journey should become a practical review of what worked, what failed, and what needs to change. Do not use the weekly review to criticize yourself. Use it like an honest meeting with yourself. The purpose is not to prove that you were perfect. The purpose is to find the small problems that could become large problems if you ignore them. A person who reviews their behavior regularly can correct a weak habit before it becomes part of their normal routine. Choose one fixed time each week for this review. It could be Sunday evening or another quiet period that fits your life. Keep it consistent. Sit somewhere without unnecessary distractions. Take a notebook and look at the previous 7 days. Do not begin by asking how motivated you felt. Start with what actually happened. Write down what you planned to do and what you completed. Compare the two without making excuses or attacking yourself. Perhaps you planned 5 exercise sessions and completed 3. Maybe you intended to study for 4 hours and studied 2. Maybe you wanted to avoid unnecessary spending and made several purchases. These numbers are not there to embarrass you. They show where your plan and your behavior are different. That difference contains useful information. Suppose you planned to exercise at 6 in the morning but missed it 4 times. You could say that you lack discipline. A better question is why the plan failed. Did you sleep too late? Was the exercise time unrealistic? Did you prepare your clothes? Did you have enough energy? Did another responsibility regularly interfere? The answer gives you something practical to change. This is one of the most important habits of personal improvement. Do not treat every failure as a problem with your character. Sometimes the problem is with the design of your routine. A good system makes the desired action easier to repeat. A poor system requires you to fight the same obstacle every day. Look for repeated obstacles. One bad result may not require a major change. 3 similar failures deserve attention. If you repeatedly miss your study session because you return home exhausted, the issue may not be your commitment to learning. The timing may be wrong. Move the session to a period when your mind is more active. Your weekly review should answer a few practical questions. What worked well? What created problems? What took more time than expected? What distracted me most? What responsibility did I avoid? What helped me stay consistent? What should I change next week? Write honest answers. Avoid vague statements such as, "I need to do better." That sentence does not tell you what to do. Replace it with something specific. You might write that your phone was beside you during study time and caused repeated interruptions. Now you have a clear adjustment. The phone can stay in another room during the next study session. You can also review your energy, rather than only your time. Some activities may take an hour, but leave you productive afterward. Other activities may take 20 minutes and leave you mentally scattered. Notice when you are most alert. Notice when your energy drops. Then place demanding work closer to your stronger periods. This is especially useful because people often organize their schedules according to available time rather than available attention. You may have free time at night, but that does not mean your best thinking happens at night. If difficult work requires careful judgment, place it where your mind works best. Use your weekly review to identify one activity that gave you a strong return. Maybe a short morning walk improved your mood and energy. Maybe preparing your clothes at night made mornings easier. Maybe reading before bed helped you avoid unnecessary screen use. Keep useful behaviors even when they seem small. Not every improvement needs to be dramatic. You should also identify one behavior that produced a poor result and remove or change it. Do not attempt to redesign everything. One good correction is better than 10 changes that last 3 days. This creates a cycle. You act during the week. You observe the result. You make a correction. You test the correction during the next week. Then you review again. This is how a routine becomes more personal and more effective. You are no longer following a fixed plan blindly. You are learning how your own life works. Your weekly review should also include unfinished responsibilities. Some tasks remain incomplete because they are difficult. Others remain incomplete because they are unclear. These require different solutions. A difficult task needs time and effort. An unclear task needs definition. Take an unfinished project and write the next physical action. Do not write "finish the project." Write "open the document" and list the 3 missing sections. Do not write "organize finances." Write "collect the last month's bank statements." A clear next action reduces the mental weight of unfinished work. You can also use the review to find unnecessary commitments. Perhaps you agreed to several things during the week and later realized they added little value. Ask whether each commitment should continue. Your schedule becomes easier to manage when you stop accepting responsibilities that do not match your priorities. Another useful review concerns your conversations. Think about moments where you reacted poorly. Did you interrupt someone? Avoid an important discussion? Speak too quickly? Become defensive? Again, do not turn the review into self-punishment. Identify one behavior to practice differently next week. Personal growth includes learning from social mistakes because relationships give you feedback that private work cannot provide. Someone's reaction may show you that your words were unclear. A disagreement may reveal that you were not listening carefully. A broken promise may show that you committed to more than you could realistically handle. Your weekly review can also protect you from false progress. Sometimes you consume a lot of information about improvement without changing your behavior. You may listen to motivational content, read about productivity, and create detailed plans. Yet your actual work remains unchanged. Look at the results of the week. Did you practice the skill? Did you complete the responsibility? Did your behavior change? Knowledge should lead to action. If it does not, change how you learn. Read less and practice more. Watch one lesson and apply it immediately. Take fewer notes and complete more exercises. The purpose of learning is not to collect information. It is to become more capable. You should measure progress in several areas instead of focusing on one result. Track your habits, your work, your health, your learning, and your relationships. You do not need complicated numbers. Simple observations are enough. A short record can show whether your life is moving in the direction you chose. At the end of each week, choose one sentence that describes the main lesson. For example, you may discover that you work better before checking messages. Another week may teach you that late nights damage your next morning. Another may show that preparing in advance reduces stress. These lessons become personal knowledge because they come from your own experience. Then choose one change for the next 7 days. Make it small enough to test. If you are always distracted during study, test a phone-free study period. If you keep missing workouts, test a different time. If you overspend during stressful evenings, test a 24-hour waiting rule for non-essential purchases. Do not expect the first correction to solve everything. You are running small experiments in your own life. Some will work, some will not. A failed experiment is still useful because it tells you what needs another approach. This mindset changes your relationship with mistakes. You stop seeing every problem as evidence that you are incapable. Instead, you ask what the result can teach you. That question keeps you engaged with the process rather than emotionally trapped by the outcome. 90 days gives you roughly 13 weeks. That means you have 13 opportunities to review your behavior and make corrections. You do not need to get everything right in the first week. You need to keep learning from the evidence and improving the next version of your routine. Do not allow the same problem to appear week after week without a response. If you keep missing the same task, change something. Change the time. Change the environment. Reduce the size. Remove the distraction. Ask for help. Make the next step clearer. A repeated problem deserves a different approach. Your weekly review should end with a clear plan for the next 7 days. Choose what matters most. Decide what you will stop doing. Decide what you will continue. Decide what you will test. Keep the plan simple enough to remember. Then begin the new week without carrying unnecessary guilt from the old one. The previous 7 days are complete. You cannot change them. You can only use what they taught you. That is the real value of reviewing your week. You turn experience into instruction. You turn mistakes into information. You turn information into better decisions. You turn better decisions into better habits. Do this consistently for 90 days, and your life begins to feel more deliberate. You stop repeating mistakes simply because you never studied them. You notice problems earlier. You adjust faster. You become more honest about what works for you. Most importantly, you learn that progress does not require perfect execution. It requires the willingness to look at your life clearly and make the next correction. Chapter 9. Notice how 90 days change your confidence. Confidence changes when your own experience gives you reasons to trust yourself. It does not become strong simply because you repeat positive words in the mirror. Over 90 days, every difficult task you complete, every commitment you honor, and every mistake you recover from gives you new evidence about what you can handle. At the beginning, you may not notice much difference. Your routine may still feel unfamiliar. You may question whether your effort is producing anything important. This is normal because personal change often becomes visible through repeated behavior before it becomes obvious through emotion. You are building evidence quietly, one day at a time. Look at the way you used to respond to ordinary problems. Perhaps you avoided tasks that made you uncomfortable. Perhaps you delayed decisions because you were afraid of making the wrong choice. Maybe you needed other people to approve your plans before you trusted them. After several weeks of consistent action, your response can become different. You may start handling situations that once caused hesitation with much less internal struggle. That change is one of the clearest signs that confidence is developing. There is a difference between confidence and excitement. Excitement can appear after hearing something inspiring. Confidence usually takes longer because it depends on experience. You become confident at speaking by speaking. You become confident at managing money by making better financial decisions repeatedly. You become confident at difficult work by completing difficult work. Your brain learns from what you actually do. This gives you a practical way to build confidence. Stop trying to feel confident before taking action. Choose actions that create evidence. Make the phone call you have been avoiding. Complete the assignment you have delayed. Speak honestly in a respectful conversation. Walk into the meeting prepared. Practice the skill again after making a mistake. Each experience gives you information that self-doubt cannot easily erase. Pay attention to the small changes that happen around the middle of your 90 days. You may notice that certain tasks require less mental preparation. You may start getting up without arguing with yourself. You may find it easier to say no to something that does not fit your priorities. You may notice that you recover from a bad day faster than before. These changes matter because confidence is often quiet. It does not always feel like a powerful emotion. Sometimes it looks like doing something normally that used to scare you. Sometimes it looks like staying calm during a disagreement. Sometimes it looks like opening the document and starting the work without spending 30 minutes worrying about it. Keep records of these moments. Write down what feels easier now than it did 30 days ago. Do not rely on memory because memory often focuses on recent problems and forgets gradual improvement. Your written record can show changes that your emotions overlook. For example, perhaps you used to need an entire evening to prepare for a task that now takes 30 minutes. Maybe you once avoided exercising because you felt uncomfortable, but now it is simply part of your day. Maybe you used to spend money impulsively, and now you pause before buying something. These are not small changes when they affect your daily decisions. Confidence also grows when you learn that you can survive mistakes. Many people avoid action because they believe a mistake will damage their identity. They think a failed attempt means they are not capable. Over time, this creates hesitation. They protect themselves from failure by avoiding situations where they could learn. 90 days can change this relationship with mistakes. You begin to see that a mistake can be examined and corrected. You make a poor decision, review what happened, change your approach, and try again. The result is important, but the recovery process is just as valuable. Consider someone learning to speak in front of others. The first attempt may feel uncomfortable. They may speak too quickly or forget part of what they wanted to say. Instead of deciding that public speaking is not for them, they review the recording, identify the problem, and practice again. After several attempts, the fear may not disappear completely, but the person has more control because the situation is familiar. That is practical confidence. It does not require the absence of nervousness. It requires the ability to function while nervous. The same principle applies to work and business. You may not know exactly how a project will turn out. You can still prepare properly, take reasonable action, learn from the result, and adjust. Confidence grows because uncertainty no longer automatically stops you. Your relationships can also become a source of stronger self-trust. Imagine that you used to avoid saying what you really needed because you were afraid of disappointing someone. Over time, you begin communicating clearly and respectfully. Some people may not agree with you. That is part of learning. You discover that disagreement does not automatically destroy a relationship or your sense of worth. This teaches an important lesson. Confidence does not mean believing that everyone will approve of you. It means being able to make responsible decisions even when approval is uncertain. You may also notice that your internal language changes. Earlier, you may have said that you cannot handle something. Later, you may say that you have not learned how to handle it yet. That small change is useful because it separates your current ability from your permanent identity. Use this language carefully. Do not pretend that every problem is easy. A difficult situation can be genuinely difficult. The point is to describe the problem accurately without turning it into a permanent judgment about yourself. Another way to notice your progress is to compare your behavior under pressure. Ask yourself how you respond when plans fail now compared with 90 days ago. Do you panic less? Do you make decisions faster? Do you ask better questions? Do you recover more quickly? Do you waste less time blaming yourself? These are valuable measures because confidence becomes most visible when circumstances are not ideal. You should also pay attention to decisions you make without asking for constant reassurance. There is nothing wrong with seeking advice. Wise people ask for information when they need it. The problem appears when you ask everyone else to make ordinary decisions for you because you do not trust your own judgment. Over these 90 days, practice making small decisions independently. Choose your schedule, decide what deserves your time, select what you will learn, determine what spending is necessary, decide how you will respond to a minor disagreement. Then, accept the result and learn from it. This develops judgment. Judgment creates confidence because you begin understanding how your own decisions work. Do not confuse confidence with becoming loud. A confident person does not need to dominate every conversation. They can listen. They can admit uncertainty. They can say, "I do not know." They can change their opinion after receiving better information. These behaviors often require more confidence than pretending to know everything. Your 90-day progress should also make you more comfortable with being a beginner. At the start of a new skill, you may look inexperienced. That is unavoidable. Confidence grows when you stop treating beginner mistakes as personal humiliation. You accept that skill comes from practice. Take learning a language as an example. You will pronounce words incorrectly. You will forget vocabulary. You may misunderstand someone. Each mistake gives you a specific correction. The person who continues practicing becomes more capable than the person who waits until they feel ready to speak. The same applies to almost every useful skill. There is another reason your confidence may change during these 90 days. You begin to understand your own patterns. You know what makes you procrastinate. You know which situations drain your energy. You know what helps you concentrate. You know how much work you can realistically complete. You know what happens when you ignore sleep. Self-knowledge reduces uncertainty because you have more accurate information about yourself. Use that knowledge to make better decisions rather than creating a perfect image of yourself. You do not need to become someone who never struggles. You need to become someone who understands how to respond when struggle appears. At the end of each month, write 2 lists. On the first list, write things that are easier now. On the second, write things that still require work. This prevents 2 common mistakes. The first is ignoring progress because you are focused only on what remains unfinished. The second is becoming satisfied too early and stopping the practices that created the improvement. Look at the evidence without exaggeration. Maybe your confidence has grown in one area, but not another. That is fine. Confidence is not one large quality that suddenly appears everywhere. You can be confident at your work and uncertain in relationships. You can feel strong physically and still hesitate with financial decisions. Treat each area separately. Then choose one area where you want stronger evidence during the final part of your 90 days. Give yourself a specific challenge. Have the conversation. Finish the project. Complete the course. Apply for the opportunity. Speak in front of the group. Practice the skill in public. Choose something that requires you to use what you have been developing. Do not choose a challenge simply because it looks impressive. Choose one that matters to your life. When you complete it, take time to recognize what actually happened. You prepared. You acted. You experienced discomfort. You handled problems. You finished or learned something useful. That experience becomes part of your personal evidence. You may look back at the person who started these 90 days and notice a difference. Perhaps the biggest change is not that you became fearless. Perhaps you became less dependent on fear to make your decisions. That is a powerful form of confidence. You begin to trust that you can learn what you do not know. You can repair mistakes. You can handle difficult conversations. You can change an ineffective routine. You can continue after disappointment. You can make a decision without knowing every possible outcome. 90 days cannot guarantee that every part of your life will be transformed. What it can give you is something more practical. It can give you evidence that your behavior can change when you make clear decisions and repeat them long enough. Look for that evidence. Notice the morning you get started without hesitation. Notice the conversation you handle more calmly. Notice the purchase you decide not to make. Notice the task you finish before seeking entertainment. Notice the problem you face instead of avoiding. Notice the skill that once felt difficult and now feels familiar. Those moments are not accidents. They are records of your work. Keep collecting them. Let your confidence come from what you have done, rather than what you hope to believe about yourself. As the 90 days move toward their end, you may realize that the greatest change was not becoming a person who never doubts themselves. It was becoming a person who can move forward, even while doubt is present. Chapter 10. Protect your progress when the 90 days end. 90 days can change your habits, but a new habit still needs protection after the original commitment is over. Reaching the end of a serious effort can create a strange feeling. You may feel proud of what you achieved, but you may also feel tempted to relax every rule that helped you improve. This is the point where many people slowly return to old behavior without noticing it. The danger is not one bad day. The danger is believing that the work is complete because the calendar says 90 days are finished. The 90 days were never supposed to be the finish line of your personal growth. They were a period for proving that you can live differently. Now the task is to make those better behaviors fit naturally into the rest of your life. Start by reviewing who you were before these 90 days began. Look at your old routines honestly. What consumed your time? What responsibilities did you avoid? Which habits created stress? How did you handle difficult situations? What did you repeatedly tell yourself you would change? Then compare that person with your current behavior. Do not focus only on achievements. Look at ordinary actions. Maybe you now prepare your day before starting work. Maybe you spend less time on your phone. Maybe you handle money more carefully. Maybe you exercise without needing to debate with yourself. Maybe you have become more comfortable saying no. These ordinary changes are often more important than a single major result because they can continue for years. Now decide which habits are essential. You do not need to keep every rule from the 90 days. Some were temporary tools designed to help you establish better behavior. Others may deserve a permanent place in your life. For example, perhaps you spent the first 90 days tracking every expense. You may not need to record every small purchase forever, but you may want to continue checking your finances once a week. Perhaps you followed a strict phone-free morning routine. You may later allow messages earlier on certain days while keeping your first 30 minutes protected. The goal is not to preserve every detail. The goal is to preserve the principle that produced the improvement. This distinction prevents your new lifestyle from becoming unnecessarily rigid. Create a personal maintenance list. Write down the few behaviors that have the greatest effect on your life. Keep the list short. It might include regular exercise, focused work, weekly planning, controlled spending, adequate sleep, learning, and time with important people. These behaviors become your basic standards. A useful test is to ask, what happens when you stop each habit for 2 weeks? If removing one behavior causes several areas of your life to decline, that habit deserves special protection. You have discovered that it has a strong connection to your stability. You should also identify your warning signs. Old habits rarely return all at once. They often begin with small changes. You start staying up later. You skip one workout. You check your phone during work. You spend without checking your budget. You stop reviewing your week. Each action looks harmless by itself. The problem appears when several small changes point in the same direction. Learn to recognize your personal early warnings. Maybe you know that poor sleep leads to poor food choices and weak concentration. Maybe you know that too much screen time makes you avoid difficult work. Maybe you know that avoiding one uncomfortable conversation creates more stress later. Your warning signs allow you to intervene before the problem becomes large. Create a simple rule for returning to your standards. You might decide that after 3 poor nights of sleep, you return to your normal bedtime. If phone use begins interfering with work, you restore your restricted periods for several days. If spending becomes careless, you review every transaction again. The exact rule is personal, but the principle is useful. Do not wait for a serious problem before correcting a small pattern. You also need to protect your progress from people who do not understand your changes. Some people may joke about your new habits. Someone may ask why you are suddenly so disciplined. Someone may invite you back into routines you deliberately left behind. You do not need to argue with them. Explain your choices when necessary, but let your behavior speak more often. You are not required to convince everyone that your new routine is correct. Your responsibility is to decide whether it improves your life. Your environment may also change after the 90 days. Perhaps you return to a busy schedule. Maybe work becomes more demanding. Family responsibilities increase. Travel disrupts your routine. These situations are normal. A strong personal system should have a basic version for difficult periods. Create a minimum standard for busy weeks. Decide what you will protect, even when everything else becomes difficult. Maybe it is 20 minutes of exercise. Maybe it is 10 minutes of reading. Maybe it is one focused work period. Maybe it is a weekly financial review. Keeping the minimum prevents temporary circumstances from becoming permanent regression. Do not expect yourself to maintain maximum effort forever. Human energy changes. Some seasons require more work. Others require more recovery. The goal is not constant intensity. The goal is stable direction. This is also the time to reconsider your next 90 days. You have learned things about yourself that you did not know at the beginning. You know which habits are realistic. You know where you tend to struggle. You know what type of work gives you energy. You know what distractions create the most damage. Use this knowledge to choose your next challenge. Do not automatically choose a bigger goal just because you completed the first one. Choose a better goal. Bigger is not always better. A more meaningful skill, stronger relationship, healthier routine, or better financial system may be more valuable than simply doing more. Your next period should build on the abilities you already developed. If you learn to manage your mornings, use that structure for deeper work. If you became better with money, begin building savings. If you improved your health, develop greater physical capacity. If you learn to focus, apply that attention to a valuable skill. Growth becomes more stable when one improvement supports another. You should also protect yourself from the feeling that you need to start over every time life changes. You do not need to rebuild your entire routine after one difficult month. Keep the essential behaviors and adjust the rest. A person who knows how to adapt can continue improving without constantly returning to zero. Think about travel. Your normal exercise routine may not be available. That does not mean exercise must disappear. Walk more. Use a short bodyweight routine. Find another practical option. The location changed. The principle did not. The same applies to work. Your schedule may become unpredictable. You may not have your normal 2-hour focus period. Protect 30 minutes. Then use that period carefully. You are not failing because circumstances changed. You are practicing flexibility. Another way to protect progress is to keep learning. Do not assume that 90 days of improvement means you have discovered everything you need. Continue reading useful material. Learn from experienced people. Practice new skills. Study your mistakes. Ask better questions. Growth becomes stale when curiosity disappears. But be selective about what you consume. More information is not automatically more growth. Choose knowledge that helps you make better decisions. Then apply it. A single useful lesson practiced for a month can be more valuable than dozens of hours of passive content. Your relationships deserve long-term attention too. As you become more disciplined, do not become so focused on personal improvement that you stop being present with people. Success without meaningful relationships can create a different kind of dissatisfaction. Make time for people who matter. Listen carefully. Keep your commitments. Show appreciation through actions. You should also remember that progress does not make you superior to the person you used to be. Your old habits were responses to your previous circumstances and understanding. Study them without shame. They taught you what needed to change. Respecting your past makes it easier to learn from it without returning to it. At the end of each month after the 90 days, perform a short personal review. Ask what is working. Ask what has slipped. Ask what has become easier. Ask what needs more attention. Then make one correction. This keeps improvement active without requiring another dramatic transformation program. There is value in living this way because you stop waiting for special dates to improve. You no longer need a new year, a Monday, or a crisis to make changes. You can notice a problem on an ordinary Wednesday and correct it that evening. That is one of the strongest results of 90 days of disciplined work. You learn that change is not an event. It is a process of making better decisions repeatedly and adjusting when those decisions stop working. Protect the progress by remembering what created it. You chose clear priorities. You reduced distractions. You accepted useful difficulty. You controlled your attention. You kept commitments. You recovered from setbacks. You reviewed your behavior. You learned from experience. Those principles can remain with you long after the calendar moves past day 90. Do not return to old habits simply because nobody is watching the way you watched yourself during these 90 days. Your private decisions still shape your life. Keep the standards that made you respect yourself more. Keep the routines that gave you greater control. Keep the lessons that helped you make better choices. The next morning may look completely ordinary. There may be no celebration. Your phone will still contain messages. Work will still need attention. Bills will still exist. People will still make demands. Some days will still be difficult. That is exactly where your progress becomes real. You wake up and choose what matters. You protect your attention. You complete the responsibility you promised yourself. You take care of your body. You manage your time. You respond to problems with more patience. You correct mistakes without abandoning yourself. The 90 days gave you a starting structure. What comes next is more important because it becomes your normal life. Keep what works. Remove what no longer helps. Adjust what needs to change. Continue learning. Continue practicing. Continue becoming more capable through ordinary decisions. You do not need another 90 days to prove that change is possible. You need to keep living in a way that makes the progress permanent. 90 days can pass whether you change or not. The difference is what you decide to do with them. You have learned that real change does not require a perfect life. It requires better decisions, repeated through ordinary days. Choose what matters. Remove what wastes your time. Protect your attention. Keep your promises to yourself. Face difficult moments without quitting. Review your progress and correct what is not working. Do not wait for the perfect Monday or the perfect moment. Start with the next decision in front of you. And remember this, your life does not change because you listened to a powerful audiobook. It changes because you take what you learned here and use it when nobody is watching. 3 months from now, you will have another 90 days behind you. Make sure those days contain actions you respect. Come back to this audiobook whenever you need to reset your focus. Listen again when your discipline feels weak. Return when you need to remember why you started. Each time, you may hear something differently because you will be a different person with new experiences. Give yourself 90 days. Take your life seriously. Start today.